in our top story of the day, the GOP presidential rivals facing off on national security issues, foreign policy, in last night's Republican debate, attacking the president's policies and each other. But who are the winners, who are the losers, and who was the overachiever? Our political panel is here to weigh in. We got Katie Pavlich here. She's editor for Townhall.com. Tara Dodell is here. She's back, political strategist and former aide to New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey, and syndicated columnist Micah Halpern is here. Welcome to all of you. You picked out three moments, one each, so let's get to it. Katie, with you. Who had stood out for you? What do you want to share with us?
I thought that Mitt Romney's comment about Obamacare costing $1 trillion and these automatic cuts going to defense costing $1 trillion was an interesting political point that I'd like to take a look at.
All right, let's go. Let's listen.
What they're doing is cutting $1 trillion out of the defense budget. They're cutting $1 trillion out of the defense budget, which just happens to equal the $1 trillion they're putting into Obamacare.
And that's the ramifications of not having anything emerge from the super committee.
Right, and it's hard for people to take Mitt Romney seriously when he talks about Obamacare because of his Romney care history. However, when you look at the political point on this, he hit Obama on foreign policy on this issue. And he's saying Obama's putting socialized medicine over national defense. And the difference is socialized medicine isn't in the Constitution, providing for the common defense is.
Right. Tara, you and I agree on this. You think the moment was Newt Gingrich talking about immigration. I was shocked by it.
I was shocked by it as well. I have to say, though, Newt Gingrich I have to give it to him. He's a very smart man, and he handled it very well. But the problem is, yet again, it's gonna come back to bite him for things he said in the past, and the other candidates are gonna harp on it. Most already have.
His record and what's already on the record. Let's listen to Newt last night.
I don't see how the party that says it's the party of the family is going to adopt an immigration policy which destroys families that have been here a quarter century, and I'm prepared to take the heat for saying, let's be humane in enforcing the law without giving them citizenship.
John McCain said something similar to that, and it destroyed him for a while, had him buried in Iowa, correct?
Yes, yes, and I think Michelle Bachmann has already gone on the attack on Newt Gingrich for that statement last night.
Right, and comments. So is Mitt Romney. Micah, let's talk about what you think. You got to go back to Ron Paul and the Patriot Act.
Yeah, I think the excitement of the debate has very little to do with who wins and who loses. It's rather entertainment and education. And Ron Paul is there to educate America. And the Patriot Act is one of those elements where you see the difference between his libertarian views and Republican views. And that's why we see the conflict there.
Let's listen to Ron Paul talk about how much he hates the Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act is unpatriotic because it undermines our liberty. We have drifted into a condition that we were warned against because our early founders were very clear. They said, don't be willing to sacrifice liberty for security.
Okay, we know where you stood with that. That was pretty much a layup. Why do you think it is, Katie, that CNN seemed to be going so much to Jon Huntsman and Ron Paul, those look like also ran so far in this contest?
Well, I think because Jon Huntsman has a lot of foreign policy experience. He worked on under the Obama administration. Obama has a high approval rating when it comes to foreign policy. And Ron Paul is always controversial. He has some views that are very different from the rest of the Republican field, and they know that he's going to create views for them. So I think that people want to hear more about Ron Paul's controversial statements rather than they find it entertaining. It's entertainment value.
Tara, you think more than Mitt Romney you want to hear from Ron Paul? We've been hearing the same thing for 6 years.
Well, I do think the one thing about Ron Paul is he has a very enthusiastic and energized group of supporters. And so they have also been pushing and complaining about the fact that he has not been receiving enough coverage, considering he's won these straw polls and he's polling very well and continues to poll well. So I think that probably was at play as well. But I agree to your point about Jon Huntsman. Jon Huntsman does have a great deal of foreign policy experience, and I actually think he did very well last night.
He did well, but the amount of tension I thought was noteworthy.
Well, it's more than that. Wolf Blitzer, his real name. Wolf Blitzer actually did a great job of controlling the crowd. They didn't step on top of one another. And in many ways, it was a better debate because of that, but it was also an entertaining debate. Remember, this is all about entertainment, too. It's about education and entertainment. And that's why you have to have characters like Ron Paul and like McCain actually changed the nature of the debate. But not just that, Newt Gingrich changes the nature of the debate. He can't control himself in many ways. He's an intellectual gadfly, and as such, ideas come up, and there's no question about it. He's the smartest guy in the field. That doesn't necessarily make him the best candidate.
Right. Governor Perry said, I think we should have a no-fly zone over Syria. And I thought Mitt Romney, Katie, was pretty quick on his feet when he said, really? That we should worry more about their tanks. They're not killing their people with their planes. You can't prepare for the tank question. He knows how many. I think he said 5,000.
Well, and you look at the amount of resources that have to go into a no-fly zone, right? Do we really have those resources to give to Syria, even though they're not really using, flying or bombing their people? It is the ground war. Are we really going to send troops into Syria to fight that war? I mean, how many civil wars are we going to get involved in? Which is why I think some of Ron Paul's position on that are appealing to people, because he really does have a point when he says we're stretched very thin. And his policies, Ron Paul's policies, are different from maybe the rest of the field. A lot of the GOP candidates have the same stances on lots of the issues.
But I just wonder if it's totally different, but the people just tuning in who are not as passionate about it as we are, have a million things going on, always wonder, is that really how the Republican Party thinks? And maybe that was the intention of doing so. Hey, listen, we're going to have the panel stick around, and we're going to be talking about this. Jimmy Fallon greeting Michelle Bachmann, well, with a song choice that includes the B word. What if she was a Democrat? Would we have heard the same thing? And would the apology have been on Twitter? And this professor called our troops killers. Now, a fellow professor who is serving our country overseas is resigning from that university in protest. He will talk about it live from Afghanistan.
According to the New York Times, John Huntsman's father has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for TV ads in New Hampshire. John Huntsman Sr. said he would have gotten involved sooner, but he didn't know his son was running.
Yeah, I didn't realize.